So, welcome to our Saturday morning session. We will continue on chapter 10 of Bhagavad Gita, verse 32 onwards. But before we go into verse number 32, I want to mention two things. One is that this Vibhuti Yoga chapter is significant for ordinary people like us because we always ask, where is God? Why can't we see him? Can you show me the God? These are the questions which are asked very often by human beings like us. And here the God is telling that you can see me in this living world in different forms. And therefore he is enumerating some of these forms which we can actually see in the world, and we can identify those with God. So this is one way of interpreting the world, and another way of looking at the Almighty in the physical world where we live. Then we don't have to go to Avyakt or non-manifest to understand him. So this is absolutely a very good message for all of us, that how we see or how we can see the Almighty in the world where we live in. And that is why these enumerations of various you know uh, manifestations in this world, which are having a sort of you know what you call mirror image of the Almighty, is very useful for us. The second point I want to mention, we discussed last time about Shastradharyon mein Ram. Now, that point I want to elaborate a little bit more. Now, Ram was Maryada Purushottam. His life, in every respect, whether it was as son or as brother or as king or as husband or as a friend or as a protector, was an ideal life, a life which everybody can aspire to be. That sets a standard for all of us. Of course, we don't reach that standard, but that standard gives us the direction where to reach and how to reach. But at the same time, while behaving in a very saintly manner, he also carries a weapon, which is Dhanush. Now, why does he carry that weapon? Now, carrying the weapon is extremely important for two reasons. One is for self-defense, and secondly, to defend the what we call dharma. If anywhere there is attack on dharma, then we should be ready to defend it. That is the second reason why Lord Rama was carrying Dhanush. And why Dhanush is important for a person like Ram, that on the one hand he is representing an ideal human behavior, considering everybody as part of one single entity. At the same time, how to deal with cruelty, how to deal with people who are, working against the law of dharma. So these two things are very important. If we do not work for protection of dharma, it means indirectly we are promoting cruelty, and we are promoting those people who are attacking the good behavior of others, or who are taking advantage of the good behavior of the others. And that is why Lord Krishna, because he is Purna Avatar, he is mentioning that a person like Ram carrying a weapon is very significant in this world. On the one hand, you present an example of a very civilized very saintly behavior. At the same time, you also provide a fear that I will be ready to use my weapon in case the infrastructure or the architecture of dharma is attacked anywhere. Now that is very important. For example, if you have total ahimsa, it means the people who are cruel, people who are anarchic, people who are attacking the dharma will have no fear and they would misuse your saintliness and your good behavior. So, this is the reason that Lord Krishna is saying that yes, saintly behavior, good behavior, a maryadit conduct is very important, but at the same time, this is also important that you carry a weapon which provide fear to those who are attacking the architecture or the pillars of dharma. So I thought I'll mention these 2 points once again. And now we go to verse number 32. हे अर्जुन, सृष्टियों का आदि और अंत तथा मध्य भी मैं हूं। मैं विद्याओं में आध्यात्म विद्या अर्थात ब्रह्म विद्या और परस्पर परस्पर विवाद करने वालों का तत्व निर्णय के लिए किया जाने वाला वाद मैं हूं। सृष्टियों का आदि अंत और मध्य। Now this has been clarified earlier also by Lord Krishna, that the whole universe is woven like the beads are woven on a thread. So they are woven into me. So obviously he is reiterating that the beginning of all the life, the maintenance of the life, and the end of life, that is the three energies of Brahma, Vishnu, and Mahesh, they originate from me. And I give birth to the origin of the universe. I maintain the universe, and I am the cause of its destruction as well. So the overall control lies with me. This has been reiterated here by Lord Krishna. Then विद्याओं में आध्यात्म विद्या. Now, if we look at the Upanishads, a large number of Upanishads start with one particular sentence or one particular query, which says that what is one thing which we should know. By knowing that particular thing, the entire world is known or entire universe is known. Now, this is a very significant aspect. I'll, explain it a little bit in detail. For example, what is the source or what is the power we have through which we experience this world? We experience this world with consciousness. As soon as our consciousness leaves, the world disappears for us. But with the consciousness, we experience everybody else. We see the sky, we see the mountains, we see plants, and we see animals, we see sea life, we see other human beings. We also see ourselves. We see our body, we see how our mind is working, what thoughts are coming in me. So all that we experience through the consciousness, Chaitanya. And to know that Chaitanya, which is the source of knowing the entire universe, is Adhyatma Vidya. Adhyatma Vidya means to know yourself. And myself is nothing but Chaitanya. Because the body is outside, the Chaitanya can see the body is an objective. The Chaitanya can also see the mind is an objective. The Chaitanya can also see the thoughts coming and going into the mind. Which Chaitanya can also understand the intellect you are using. So Chaitanya is the source through which, or the resource through which, you know the rest of the world, including your body and your mind and your intellect. So to understand that Chaitanya, each understanding everything else outside. Because this is the only resource through which you understand the world. And if we can understand that resource itself, we know everything else. And this is what Mandukya Upanishad is also based on. And this is what Lord Krishna is saying here, that once we know that resource or that power which enables us to understand the whole universe, then we have understood the universe. And that is Adhyatma Vidya, that is to know one's own self. All our ancient rishis and munis, they have tried to understand this Chaitanya, what is this? Because Chaitanya is not easy to understand. We can understand the body, we can understand how our eyes function, how our ears function, how our digestive system function, how our mind function, but we know that through Chaitanya. But knowing that Chaitanya is extremely difficult. That is a power which you need, extraordinary power, and that power is possible only for a very, very rare individuals. And that is why Keno Upanishad also says that आप कानों का कान है, that is enables the ears to hear, what enables the eyes to see, that is Brahma, what enables your mind to manan, mind मनन कैसे करता है, उसकी शक्ति कहाँ से आती है, that is Brahma. So that Brahma Vidya or Atma Shakti or Atma Vidya or Adhyatma is the source of all that. And that is what Lord Krishna is saying, that if you want to see me in Vidya, then I am Adhyatma Vidya or Brahma Vidya, which enables every species of life to see this universe. And once you know that Chaitanya, then you know everything else. So this is what Lord Krishna is saying, that if you want to see me in Vidya, then you see me in Adhyatma Vidya. Now, तत्व निर्णय के लिए किया जाने वाला वाद. Now, this is very important. We debate, but we always debate with partial approach, because we already have a fixed mind. This, for example, we have TV debates every day now on Indian channels. Somebody will come from BJP, somebody will come from Congress, somebody will come from some other party, or somebody is a Muslim and somebody is Hindu or somebody is Christian. They will all come. Now, all these people have preconceived notion. They are not doing debate to thresh out the truth. They feel that I am the, touchstone for the truth. What I say is true, what others say is wrong. So a Muslim will say what I am saying is right. A Hindu will say what I am saying is right. Others should understand that. Now, that is what we call a partial approach. You already have made up your mind based on your habits or your association with something, or based on whatever your experience is. You have made up your mind and you want to prove that approach as right. That is what we debate on most of the time. You ask anybody, he will have a partial approach to the truth. His approach is affected by his association with, for example, we are talking about various education systems. Somebody coming from Harvard will say, oh, Harvard is the best system. Somebody who comes from Nalanda, he says Nalanda was the best system. Somebody comes from, say, Rajasthan University, we will say Rajasthan University, because we have a preconceived bias on that. So our ideas, our debate is impacted by that preconceived notion, and therefore we are not actually debating for the truth. We are debating to prove ourselves right. That is what normal debate is. Here Lord Krishna is saying that तत्व निर्णय के लिए किया जाने वाला, मतलब you want to ascertain the truth and then you are debating on a particular issue. That is the debate in which I am. I am that debate where there is no partiality involved. It is absolutely impartial discussion on discovering the truth of our existence. So this is what Lord Krishna is saying, that तत्व के निर्णय के लिए, सत्य को जानने के लिए जो डिबेट की जाती है विदाउट पार्शियलिटी, विदाउट having preconceived notions, that is the true debate where I am, not in the partial debate where you already have a preconceived notion. Then verse number 33, मैं अक्षरों में आकार हूं और समासों में द्वंद्व नामक समास हूं। अक्षय काल अर्थात काल का भी महाकाल, और मुख वाला विराट स्वरूप सबका धारण पोषण करने वाला भी मैं हूं। Now all these symbols, they are very fascinating and it's worth understanding each one of them. अक्षरों में आकार। Now अक्षरों में आकार का मतलब क्या है? If you have the Sanskrit Barnavali or the Devanagari Lipi, A is akar. Now you will find that A in every single consonant, every single letter. For example, we say Ka, A is always there. Ka. Without A, you cannot pronounce Ka. You cannot pronounce Kha without A. You cannot pronounce Ta without A. So A is actually at the bottom of each of these letters. A is the foundation on which all these letters are based. So that is what he's saying, that I am the foundation of entire language system. All these akshar, all these things which are used for writing, their basic comes from me. Akar. Akar, without akar, you cannot pronounce any of the letters. Can you pronounce ka without a? A is invariably involved. And that is what Lord Krishna is saying, that I am invariably involved in akshar. That is where you can see me. You can see me in akar. That I am the a of the entire Varnavali. So this is what he is saying here, that the foundation of all the language system, I provide that foundation because I am the foundation of the foundation. All the letters begin without A, you cannot pronounce anything else. So A is where you can see me, akar, that's called akar, and that is where you can see my, Aishwarya, you can see my foundation if you want to see that in akshar. Then samaso mein dvand. Now dvand samas are basically that variety of samas. Samas is basically to join the two words. Now to join the two words with equal emphasis on both, that is called dvand samas. Dvand samas provides equal importance to the two words. In some samas, the first word is more important. In some, the second word is more important. In some, the combination of the two reflect on something third. So those are different variety of samas. But this dvand samas means where every word which is joining the samas has equal importance. So that is where you can see me, that I give equal importance to everybody, that is equality is the foundation. Now, next one, Akshakal. Akshakal. This is very, very fascinating. I was thinking about this word, how, Lord Krishna has brought this here. Kal. I'm not talking about this watch. I'm not talking about the time which we count with the clocks which we have created. That is basically for our convenience, we count the time. that this is the time sun rose and then this. But basically, time is like an axis on which the whole world keep rotating. Like there's a fan here, there's an axis in the middle, the fan rotates around it all the time. Without that axis, the fan will not rotate. The same is true with the, wheel of a car. There is a fixed axis in the middle around which the wheel rotates. Similarly, the time is the axis of this universe on which everything rotates and depreciates. Every single thing depreciates against time, whether it is the sun, whether it is the earth, stars, whether it is mountains, whether it is any form of life or human being. With time, they keep depreciating. But time is akshay, which is not depreciating at all. It remains constant. उसमें क्षय नहीं होता, वो तो अक्षय है. बाकी वो जो अक्षय है वो सब में क्षय करता है, सबको डेप्रिसिएट करता है. So the earth will depreciate with time, the moon will depreciate with time, the sun will depreciate with time, the human being will depreciate with time, but the time remains akshay. It doesn't depreciate at all. While it looks that the time is passing, but that's only our mental frame. If you think deeply, time remains constant. It never changes at all. There's no depreciation, there's no change in time, but everything changes with time. So this is what it's worth thinking about it. That is why we have also given the name. The time is also called Kal, and death is also called Kal in Hindi, because the time slowly leads to depreciation of everything, ultimately bringing it to an end, including the human life. With time, we also come to an end. And every life is denominated in terms of time. If we say the earth is 4 billion years old, that is also time. But 4 billion is our counting. It's not the time in the pure form. Time in pure form is non-alterable. But it works as a force which alters everything else. So you can say that everything else changes because of time, but time remains unchanged. It's akshay. And that is what I am. That everything keeps around me, but I remain unchanged. And if you want to see me in time, in this manifest world, then you can see me in time, which remains constant, which remains unaltered, but everything else changes because of time. Life of everything else is defined by time, but time's life cannot be defined. Nobody can define the life of time. We can only do the counting of the time, but not, life is absolutely perpetual. It is anadi, it's constant, it's never ending, it's infinite. So this is what Lord Krishna says here. Then विराट स्वरूप सबका धारण पोषण करने वाला. Now that also comes in the earlier part of this verse, the previous verse, that सृष्टि का अंत मध्य और आदि भी मैं हूं. So here it is also that I sustain this universe. I'm the one. If you want to see in me in this universe, then everything which is sustaining, like for example, we are sustained by food we eat. Now that food is also representing the Almighty. That is also the Almighty which sustains this universe. If the sun and moon and the earth, their rotation sustains these various planets, and they remain in their axis because of all that. That is also me, because if they deviate from their axis, everything will be destroyed. So even that movement is me. So all that, basically he is telling that you can see me in all these forms in this world. Because Arjuna was asking him, In what forms can I see you? किन किन भावों में और किन किन प्रतीकों में मैं आपको ढूंढूं इस संसार में? So that is what he is responding to Arjun's queries. Now, soon after Akshay Kal, he now comes here. मैं, वर्स नंबर 34, मैं सबका नाश करने वाला मृत्यु और उत्पन्न होने वालों की उत्पत्ति का हेतु हूं। मैं स्त्रियों में कीर्ति, श्री, वाक, स्मृति, मेधा, धृति और क्षमा हूं। नाउ, सबका नाश करने वाला, बिकॉज ही इज काल. The Kal brings everything to an end. There is a depreciation, slow, shar, and then comes to an end. So this is what he's saying, and that is why Kal is also called, the death is also called Mrityu. And the time and Mrityu, they have the same, word in Hindi or Sanskrit, that is Kal. Now, because he is Akshay Kal, he brings everything to an end. That end of everything brings, because of his presence there, everything comes to an end. They keep changing, they keep depreciating, and finally the end comes to everything. This is what he's saying. और उत्पन्न होने का वालों का. Now, in the previous verse he said सबका धारण पोषण करने वाला, यहाँ पे उत्पन्न करने वाला. तो ये तीन चीजें, there are three things which are very important. The coming into this world, maintenance, and then the death. Now, this is the cycle of everything in this world. Now, coming into this world, we have no control. Because we don't even exist, so how do we control? We exist only after our birth in the form we are right now. So we cannot control our birth, how it happens. It is determined by somebody else. So he says that after your birth also, when you die, that is also my domain. I control that domain. I look after you throughout your life, and then I regulate your death, and then I become the cause of your birth again. Now, this is what has been told to tell us that don't be egoistic. You have done nothing in this universe. You were born because I gave you the birth. You are sustaining life because I provide you the sustenance. And you die because I make you die. So don't have that ego that I am the controller of everything. That is the ego we have. All of us have that ego. Some have in lower quantity, some have in higher quantity. But we all have that. I am doing this, I am doing that. We are just what we call puppet in the hands of the Supreme. And he makes us dance here and there. And we actually play that role of a puppet. But it does not mean that you don't have the freedom to act. That is also not true. We are not entirely puppet in that sense, because we have consciousness and we have power to decide. We have intellect and power to decide. So we have certain things which are given to us by providence, by birth. And there are certain things we decide during our lifetime and take action accordingly. And those actions bring what we call outcome in the next life. Those actions are all, brought together as a seed at the end of our life. And that seed fructifies in the next birth, which becomes our sanskar for the next life. And how the next life will be regulated depends on the quality of that seed. So this is what Krishna is saying, that I bring death to everybody, and I also bring their birth in the next birth. Not only humans, but all other species of life. So this is extremely important. If we understand this, then our ego will subside considerably, and we'll say, okay, we are all, in the hands of the Almighty. He is the one who determines our existence. Now, स्त्रियों में कीर्ति, श्री, वाक, स्मृति, मेघा, धृति और क्षमा. These are 7 qualities which he has mentioned. And these 7 qualities are very specific to the female in the world. Kirti is the one which is, it's not easy to define it, but Kirti is the one which brings out your overall personality in like a flower. So the woman's Kirti comes out of its love, out of uh, all the rest of the things, the Sri, Vak, Smriti, Meda, Dhriti, and Shama, they contribute to bring the Kirti out. Kirti is the final outcome of a woman's personality, which actually spreads a message of love. That is what Kirti is. The very process of giving birth to a child is a process of love. That you suffer, but you give birth to somebody else. That and then you look after the child. That is part of the Kirti. But Kirti is not associated with Vasana. Once you rise above Vasana, and you have all these, I'll come back to the other ones. First, let me explain that one. Vak is, the words which you utter. And basically, Vak is the feeling here is referring to the love which women share. The, the madhurya, the very soft spoken voice which comes from women, which gives peace and tranquility to the world. That is the walk. Smriti is that women have far longer memory than we do. In general, you will find that the women remember things better than a man do. It is very, very apparent to me. I have seen it in many, many places. The memory of the women is very detailed. Similarly, Medha. Medha is the intellectual power. Now, we feel that we have more intellectual power, but in general, you will find that the women have more intellectual power. They have more innate ability to decide on things. Similarly, Dhrati. Now, Dhrati is that gives stability, that gives you, uh, sahansilta, that you become tolerant. Now, all these qualities, Shama, that is the quality to forgive others, I think all these qualities are in greater quantity in women than in men. All of these. And the total sum of these qualities gives the woman kirti, the final outcome. That is what we call aswarya. That is what we call a flowering of a woman based on these qualities is called kirti. So all these qualities, it's good that Lord Krishna has mentioned this in such a detail, because in this world these are very important. Most of the religion, and you see there is history, they have been actually treating women as second class citizens. This has been a tendency. In Christianity, it was so. In Islam, it is still, now it is so. Hinduism is the only religion where the women were given equal status everywhere. If we see the first rishis and first munis in the female form, they are only in India, only in Hinduism. When we talk about Maitreyi, and we talk about, a lot of uh, writers of Vedas, there are many female rishis who are enumerated in Vedas. And then Hinduism is the only place where we have Ardhanarishwar. where half man and half woman, a form of the God has been displayed. Nowhere else it has been done. In Christianity, even the right to vote was given to women in 1960s. In fact, the very story of Adam and Eve starts with denigration of woman in Christianity. The Eve was the one who persuaded Adam to do the wrong things, and then the sufferings started. So this is how the Christianity looks at women. And we all know how the Islam looks at women. They keep them under total veil. In some countries, they are not even allowed to go to school and to work or to any other public place. It is only in Hinduism where the woman had been given higher status than men. And that is why Lord Krishna has enumerated these 7 qualities of women, which are actually indicating that women have a higher status in society than men. And then he talks about Kirti, that is the highest, culmination of those values, which actually means that women are giving love, affection to the world. They are tolerant. They are the one who, uh, forgive others, and they are the one who have very good memory and great intellect. So this is what Lord Krishna has mentioned here. Now, verse number 35. तथा गायन करने योग्य श्रुतियों में मैं बृहत साम और छंदों में गायत्री छंद और महीनों में मांगशीर्ष का महीना और ऋतुओं में वसंत. Now, Brahtsam is a particular song from Samved, which is in the praise of Indra. Now, that is what he says, and already Lord Krishna has mentioned that Vedon mein main Samved hu, because his whole life is, dedicated to music, and Samved is the source of music. And Lord Krishna is associated with Bansuri and music ever since his birth. So he has here again now referred to the same Ved, Sam Ved, where there is a particular song Vrat Sam which has been sung in praise of Indra. So he says that गायन करने योग्य श्रुतियों में जो चीजों को the things which can be sung in a very melodious form, I am Bratsam, that particular song I am. Then Chando mein Gayatri Chand. We know the Gayatri mantra and Gayatri Chand is a very fundamental to Hindu philosophy. And they say that this is a foundation in certain ways of, variety of what you call the pillars of Hinduism. So that is here. That's why he says that mantro mein main, छंदों में मैं गायत्री छंद हूं, महीनों में मार्गशीर्ष का महीना. Margshirsh is 1 month when it is after the summer and the rain ends. It comes sometime in end October, early November. That is the time of Margshirsh. And that is practically the best time of the year. The crops come out, new crops come out. It is neither cold nor rainy nor warm. It's the perfect weather for, human being to live. So that is why perhaps he has referred to the Margshirsh month, supposed to be the perfect month to live in terms of our, comforts and in terms of our survival, both because the crops come and then soon after Margshirsh ends, we have all these festivities. The Diwali comes and the Dashera and then Diwali and Ram Navami, all those things come soon after that. So the foundation of that is laid in the month of Margshirsh, and that is why Lord Krishna has referred Margshirsh as one of the best month in the year. Vasum ritu mein vasant. Now that is very clear to us. If you look at all the seasons, six ritus, six seasons, Vasant is the one which is responsible for regeneration of life. You see, after the autumn, lot of plants and they shed their leaves and they become weak. Then comes winter, which makes them further weak. And then as soon as the spring comes, the life regenerates. The flowers bloom, the trees bloom, and the nature blooms. So all that regeneration of life starts from the from the season of Vasant, and that is what he is referring. So that is very clear. You see in Vasant, the flowers are blooming, the trees are blooming, the winds are gentle, and the, the the whole life is colorful. So this is why he has referred to Vasant in terms of seasons. Now we'll take one more verse. मैं छल करने वालों में जुआ और प्रभावशाली पुरुषों का प्रभाव, मैं जीतने वालों की विजय, निश्चय करने वालों का निश्चल और सात्विक पुरुषों का सात्विक भाव हूं. Now he has given so many examples of the real world. But can you believe he said that I am Jua bhi main hu? He didn't have to say this, but he's saying this. Now why? Why is saying this? Jua. छल करने वालों में जुआ. Now, in Jua, what happens when you go to a casino and play? You play, you lose, then in between you gain something, you again have some hope. No, I'll win again. And then again you lose, then again you gain something, and you again develop a hope that you will win. So, this process of losing and winning and then hope carries you forward and forward and forward, but ultimately you lose. Ultimately, the casino wins. This is the game of life. In life, also, we have the same play. Sometimes we feel that, we are enjoying life, it's great, I'm in a great job and great power, I've learned, a lot of things and I have a lot of money. And then the bad times come and then you start losing and then you lose your hope. This is going wrong, that is going wrong, this is happening, that is happening, and then again something good happens, and then you again have a hope. So, this process of loss and win and hope, the three things here: you lose, you win, and you have hope. This is also a process of life. So, in ordinary case, this is how the life goes. Life is also like a gamble. It's like a jua, that the hope continues and we continue, but ultimately we lose this life because we do not remember the Almighty. We remain busy in these expectations and the win, that okay, ultimately I will win. That feeling remains and keeps you in motion all the time. So you're going up and down, and you are vacillating. This is the process of life. This is the process of jua. That is why he is referred here that chal karne walon mein jua. The life also does chal with us. Actually, the whole process of life is that cheating. It keeps us up and down, keeping the hopes alive. Now, if we can understand that this life is nothing but a sort of chal, a sort of, you know, not treachery, but a sort of false, expectations and false hopes, then I think we can understand this life properly, and then we can understand the real cause of our existence. So this is what I think he means here, that छल करने वालों में मैं जुआ हूं, because Jua is the only one, the gambling is the only one which keeps you in this vacillating stage, ups and down, and ultimately you are the loser there. These are the two things. You have hopes, then you ultimately you lose. So this is where the play of Jua is like the play of life. If we can understand this play, then we can be wiser and we can dedicate ourselves to the Supreme. So you should understand this game of Jua, and we have seen that in Mahabharata how what consequences it can bring. So that is how the Jua is, and agar those people who want to deceive others, then they play this Jua, then they play this gambling game. So if we don't want to deceive others, we don't have to play this game. Or sometimes actually we deceive ourselves in the process. In the game of life, we deceive ourselves by playing this game. And that is the real deception which we carry with us throughout our life. And if we can overcome that deception, I think we can be away from chal karne wale, from the people who are deceiving others. प्रभावशाली पुरुषों का प्रभाव, naturally there are certain people who have an aura. Some saint comes, he has an aura, and you are completely mesmerized by looking at a person. Now that kind of aura naturally is the aura of the Almighty. That is what you can see in some individuals. It's only those individuals who have, that aura, they can influence others without saying anything at all. Their very presence can influence others, and that is what he is referring to here. मैं जीतने वालों की विजय, that is very clear that those who win the final victory, I am there. निश्चय करने वालों का निश्चय, that those who have sankalp, those who have determination, I am that determination. And सात्विक पुरुषों का सात्विक भाव, the people who want to do good for others, I am their source of inspiration. So here he is referring certain good things, certain bad things. He is referring to death. He is referring to life. He is referring to the birth. He is referring to deceit. He is referring to women. All these things he is referring. Why? He is referring because I am the controlling part or controlling force of the entire universe, whatever you take. Whether you take animal kingdom, whether you take, marine kingdom, if you take human kingdom, if you take natural kingdom, I am everywhere. You can see me everywhere. I pervade this entire universe. I am omnipresent. In that omnipresence, there are some selected forms which he has enumerated till now, in which we can see his presence more clearly than otherwise. Of course, he is present everywhere, but in some places you see his presence more clearly. And those are the vibhutis he is referring to Arjuna, to make him understand that in this universe, whichever kingdom you take, whichever aspect of life you take, I am there, and some of those forms he has mentioned in these verses. So we conclude here today. Next time we will conclude this chapter. But if you have any queries, I will try to answer those queries. But these vibhutis, they have a particular significance for all of us. When you think about elephant, there also you can see the Almighty. You think about horses, you can see the Almighty. You think about serpents, you can see the Almighty. If you see rivers, you can see the Almighty. If you see mountains, you can see the Almighty. If you see plant and herbs, you can see the Almighty. If you see somebody's highly determined person, you can see the Almighty. If you can see the change everywhere, there also you can see that their akshar samay, the Akshay Kal, you can see the change agent everywhere. So this is how he's mentioning that in the whole universe, you can see me in every aspect of life. I am hidden there, and I actually is the culmination of a particular variety of quality which appears in those particular areas of life. So thank you very much. If you have any queries, I'll try to answer. Thank you.